evening, everyone. Welcome to another jam-packed episode of Silver Screen. I'm your host, Robert Haynes, and with me is the lovely
Ngobile Shongwane. On tonight's show, we're going to continue our Best Picture coverage. But first up, it's time for some entertainment news.
That it is. The BAFTAs happened last Sunday.
It's tradition here for me to garner a kiss from one of the nominees. Every year it happens, and I wonder, oh, she doesn't take any. Oh, my. Oh, thank you.
I'm so good.
Oh, bless you.
And the BAFTA is awarded to La
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 Land.
Land.
It really does mean so much because we have such admiration for the British film community.
I think film, when it's at its best and most inspiring, reveals the fundamental human truth.
I see the movie I liked won.
Look, there's no reason to rub it in. La La Land, going into the evening, it was always going to be the odds-on favorite to win, and unfortunately it did walk away with Best Films of the Evening amongst a few other awards. But it wasn't a clean sweep. The record, with 11 nominations, the record is still held by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from back in 1970, which walked off with 10 awards at the time.
There was a pretty even spread of awards over the course of the evening, which meant that there were a few surprises. Jackie won Best Costume Design, Arrival won Best Sound, and Hacksaw Ridge won Best Editing.
And Casey Affleck was always a front runner to win in the Best Actor category with his heartbreaking performance in Manchester by the Sea. And predictably, the award went his way.
And the BAFTA goes to Casey Affleck.
This is an honor I'll never forget. Thank you to the Academy. Thank you very much.
Emma Stone took home the award for Best Actress.
Emma Stone for La La Land.
In a time that's so divisive, I think it's really special that we were all able to come together tonight thanks to BAFTA.
Time now to take a look at the local box office for last weekend. In third place is Lego Batman movie. Yep, you heard me. Lego Batman.
Are they really getting so desperate for superhero content now that they're combining genres?
Alfred, we need a Kick Butt theme song. Oh, wait. Let's get nuts.
Stop him before he starts singing! You're my role model.
It must be great to be Batman.
Woo! We love you!
Good night, Alfred.
Sir, it's morning.
The Lego Batman movie, only in cinemas.
Well, in second place, Vin Diesel returns in Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage.
It's done. 16 million in 3 weeks.
You know how I came up with the Triple X program?
We need people with the skills to take on threats we don't even know exist.
Let's do this. Good, the extreme, and the completely insane. We're Triple X.
Now it's a party.
X takes care of his own.
Triple X. I live for this.
Top of the pops last weekend was 50 Shades Darker. The heavy-petting sequel performed as expected and was very strong amongst female viewers, banking 10 million in its opening weekend.
He's changing. Are you happy? I just wanna keep calling your name. I've never been happier. Gotta be quicker than that, Cray. What is happening to me? You know that girl, Kristen?
I think you're the first woman who's tried to save him.
If something were to happen to you, I could never forgive myself.
Did you enjoy the first one?
Yes, I did.
Did you read the book?
No, I didn't.
With the first one, I actually made a point of reading the book before I went to go and watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I think I got through 10 pages. After 10 pages, there were about 47 typos, about 62 incorrect uses of language, and that was me. I was out. I was done. So I couldn't.
So I won't even bother then?
No. Okay. Joining me now in studio is Billy Dundee from Black Sheep Films, one of the bigger local theatrical distributors. Bill, you guys started off as sort of very much a boutique distributor, but I've seen now you've got La La Land, for example, and a couple of other bigger titles that have come through the woodworks. What prompted you to get into distribution?
You know, it was actually by luck. I've been in the film industry for 16 years previous to that, previous to starting Black Sheep. And I actually was by luck, I saw an opportunity with one of the pay TV broadcasters that was going into content ownership, and there was a gap for a true independent distributor in the country. And I put a proposal. I got a team of veterans, if I'd like to call it, professionals, and we put an amazing team together, and we've gone from strength to strength since then.
And in terms of acquiring the rights to some of the international product, how are you guys going about it? Are you going to the festivals? Are you still getting MGs? How does it work now?
We go to the film markets. These guys definitely want MGs up front.
Yeah.
Which makes it challenging. The risks all go onto the distributor here. We find, we don't own all the films that we represent. Some of them are owned by other companies or other people that have taken the risks. And being like you said, a boutique distributor, we've got a different model in distributing for them, and that's how we manage to pick up a lot of those rights.
And what are your percentage splits like now with the exhibitors? How are you making your money back with the MGs?
It's all negotiation with the exhibitors. We've got our model, which is sort of confidential.
Yeah.
On how we work with exhibitors. We want them to do well. If they're doing well, we're doing well. So we've created our own model, which has been successful for us. And theatrical is through theatrical we just want to make a return on our P&A investment.
Yeah.
And then make it increase the value of those films across the rest of the platforms.
Are you guys still into physical media, or is that market pretty much dead in this country now?
DVD, yes, we distribute DVD ourselves. We are also using a service provider. We were using service providers previously. Now we've taken that all in-house. The margin pressures are just too much on that. So we manufacture and distribute straight out of our offices. The rental market, funny enough, is still very strong, and actually
how is the rental market still even surviving?
It's crazy. I think I can go back 6 years ago when people were predicting this is the last year of rental market, but those guys are still strong. The return into the rental market is still strong for us. The retail market is taking, that's where the big margin pressure is for us. And there's still, a lot of guys are still buying DVDs. There's no doubt about that. But it's getting more and more difficult for us to release all our product into those markets. It's very expensive to manufacture DVD.
And what about VOD? Are you guys, they're always so cagey about video on demand in terms of what the agreements are, what people are making. I mean, I know, you throw a film onto a video on demand platform, they never tell you anything other than the numbers on your own movie. They never give you any other numbers on anything. How are we going to get past this? Because ultimately at the end of the day, filmmakers have to make a return on investment.
Yeah.
So what do you see as us getting past this?
That's why you have to deal with a distributor who's got the experience or understands what the content does through those different markets. I can tell you transactional video on demand, that's been very strong for us. I think the revenues through that is 3 times more than DVD at the moment.
And what are you guys doing to promote local cinema? I know you've released a couple of local films here and there, but that hasn't been sort of your general focus. You've picked up more exclusive rights to international titles. So what are you doing to promote local cinema?
We'd love to get involved into local cinema, and it's one of our strategies for the new year. I think it's very expensive. It's a very competitive market. There's our peers, if you call it, in the industry have been there for a long time. They've identified that market and they've booked a lot of the rights with a lot of the main producers. But we will build into that market. I think that we've got a lot in the pipeline where we've been working. We've been working on new distribution models with local distributors or local producers. And it's just, it takes a long time to make a movie. So it'll come out down the line.
As an ex-filmmaker, what would you say to someone who wants to make a movie and make a return on investment? What would your advice be to them?
Gee.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You have to make commercial films. You have to make films that people, it's easy to say that, but
then again, what is a commercial film? It's
exactly.
Like how long is a piece of string?
Exactly. It's what we always discuss. What is a commercial film? I don't know. I really, I know for us, we have gone into production on comedy.
Yeah.
sort of stand-up comedy is our first. We've produced, I think, about 6 shows that are complete at the moment. And this year we plan to go into that full force.
With the different formats available now, you know, you've got your terrestrial, your cable television. For the audience, terrestrial television would be an SABC or an ETV, and then pay television would be an Mnet. What kind of numbers, I mean, and I'm talking general numbers, are they paying for films these days? Because I know that the numbers have fallen because it's just become such a competitive market out there.
Yeah, look, the numbers also are very difficult to discuss. On a typical film, on our films we see that terrestrial is probably between 60 and 70% of the revenue on the film. So terrestrial is very important for us. Yes, that's changing. I think over the next period it's going to become more challenging, you know, when they want more, their content offer has to change or is going to change. So yeah, we'll see how that changes, but transactional is probably our best bet at the moment.
And what do you guys have lined up for later in the year, in terms of local film production and international films that you may have picked up?
At the moment, you know, we've got a lot of animations coming up this year. You know, we've got great films in cinema at the moment. La La Land is really doing well, and we'll see what it does in the next 2 weeks at the Oscars.
Well, especially at the Oscars, yes.
Hacksaw Ridge is still in cinema, also a brilliant film. We've got The Last Face, that's coming out in the first week in
The Last
March.
Face, I haven't heard of that. Who's in that?
Charlize Theron's
film,
her latest. Filmed in Cape Town. And a lot of animations. We've got a lot of animations lined up. Rock Dog, a very cool film coming out in 3 weeks' time. We're looking forward to that. We find animations are a lot easier to release than dramas or a lot of the independent films.
Yeah, I know a lot of the local distributors, they don't offer any kind of minimum guarantee for local films. Is that something that's going to come into effect in this country eventually? You know, you're spending 6, 7, 8 million rand on a film. You know, you're expecting some kind of ROI. Are the distributors going to offer some kind of MG eventually?
I think on some films the local distributors were offering MGs. I don't know if that's still in place, but you know, how the films are funded and how the distributor takes their money back from their investment has a lot to do with if they're going to pay an MG. So if a broadcaster, for example, invests in a film and takes away a certain right, then the risks are maybe a little bit higher for a distributor to invest upfront as well.
Well, now it's time to revert to our best picture reviews. The Oscars are only a week away, so we may have to double up next week just to get through all 9 of them. What are we looking at this week, Nobs?
First up, we have Hidden Figures.
So, Nobs, what did you think of Hidden Figures?
I loved it. It was an uplifting story of the 1960s where segregation was rife, and you know, it's a story of 3 black women.
It's a story that I knew nothing about. Yeah. I suppose that's where the name Hidden Figures comes from.
I think none of us knew anything about it. You know, we had no idea that they had 3 black women working in NASA.
And I mean, Taraji P. Henson, I mean, she was the lead. She was incredible. Her performance was absolutely impeccable. It was a flawless performance. And I mean, the film was it was emotional, it was evolving. There wasn't a moment where I didn't believe everything that I was seeing on screen. So what would you say you would rate Hidden Figures out of 10?
I'll give it a 7.
A 7?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's 70%.
Okay, so you're giving it a solid 7 then?
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 7.
I would give it a near perfect 9.
Really?
Near perfect 9 for me.
You have identification on it?
Yes. Yes, sir. We're just on our way to work. NASA, sir.
That's something. I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
When they told me about the story at the very beginning, it's a story that is true. I just thought, I have to be a part of this.
How in the hell did we find ourselves in second place in a 2-man race? I refuse to believe that the Russians are smarter than us. Find the genius among those geniuses.
My dad is actually a NASA Langley retired research scientist, which is how I got to know about this story.
They've never had a colored in here before, Catherine.
Don't embarrass me.
I knew Katherine Johnson and many of the other women that I'm writing about because they worked here with my dad.
I took great pride in the work that was given to me.
Colonel Glenn's launch coordinates.
I have told you this. Computers don't author reports. Fix it.
Those are my calculations. My name should be on it.
That is not the way this works.
What they did had a lot to do with where we are in space and science today.
Whose work is that?
Catherine Goebel, sir.
You did the math.
I look beyond.
They've been buried in history, pages of history that hadn't been uncovered.
How come I've never heard this story about these women who calculated launch windows for the astronauts?
We're orbiting the Earth at what speed now?
17,544 miles per hour.
NASA offered them an opportunity. They wanted to be treated equally.
She is a woman. There is no protocol for a woman
Okay,
attending
I
these
get
meetings.
that part, Paul. Catherine.
She said she wanted this story told.
I knew how important it was.
It's a story of 3 women whose God-given abilities were allowed to flourish and make a difference.
That's it.
These women were the heroes behind the scenes.
We all get there together, we don't get there at all.
That's empowerment.
In the fight of our lives, people.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
That film, it is going to stand the test of time. There's nothing in that film that didn't ring that rang false. Every performance was flawless, the scripting was flawless, the production design was impeccable. Now, I mean, I've studied a lot of NASA's movements from the late 50s and the early 60s, and I've actually done a few documentaries on them. And the thing is that they were so historically accurate with everything that they portrayed in that movie, from the launches to the behind the scenes, even to the mathematics. It was historically 100%, which is why I have to give it a nearly perfect 9.
Okay. Right, let's move on to Hell or High Water. I would describe this film as a boys' movie, but I actually quite enjoyed it.
All this was my ancestors' land. These folks took it, and now it's been taken from them. Except it ain't no army doing it. It's those sons of bitches right there.
My job is to explore things that may be uncomfortable, that may be questionable.
As a filmmaker, I'm always drawn to things which are not black and white in terms of their moral shades.
I've been poor my whole life. It's like a disease, passing from generation to generation. But not my boys. Not anymore.
Good people do bad things for good reasons.
Good morning, folks. Open the drawers. Y'all gonna steal my gun, too?
We ain't stealing from you, we're stealing from the bank.
There are a lot of things that are taboo to even discuss, which people seem to think makes them go away. It certainly doesn't.
Bank loan, just enough to keep your mama poor. Thought they could swipe her land.
It's the banks. It's greed. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's greed.
This looks like a man who could foreclose on a house.
These people really represent a cycle of poverty.
Y'all been here for a while?
Long enough to watch the bank getting robbed has been robbing me for 30 years.
How success and failure can be handed down generation to generation.
They take cash?
$200.
Them bills is evidence.
It's evidence that they're the bank robbers. So you go out there and you get a warning. You come after the money that I will be using to keep a roof over my daughter's head.
It's a good thing it does. More down. Every step of the way.
I would give this one an 8.
What did you enjoy about it?
I liked the fact that it was a chase. It was a chase movie disguised as a western, and it was also very heartwarming, dramatic at the same time. That's why it touched me. Lastly, this evening we're going to be roaring our way through Lion, starring Dev Patel and Nicole Kidman. This is an excellent drama about a 5-year-old boy who is lost in the streets of Calcutta until he's eventually adopted by an Australian couple. 25 years later, he decides he wants to try and track down his real family.
I'm starting to remember.
Saru, our beautiful boy.
A life I'd forgotten. It's a real-life story about this incredible young boy who goes scavenging on a train with his older brother, Guru.
इधर ही रुक हाँ, किधर जा मत.
And They get separated from each other. He gets on this train and is hurtled across the entire of India. And he's lost.
It's a real story, which is incredible, and it's so hopeful and so beautiful.
The story really began with Saru's book, A Long Way Home.
You know, I had to take a bit of thought about it, as in this is a personal story, and for a long time it wasn't a personal story to be told to anyone, let alone the world. And I had a little talk to my parents about it, and they said, yeah, you should do it, you should take the bull by the horn and tell this unique, profound story.
Saru had grown up being lovingly cared for by his adopted parents, and then suddenly, almost like a Pandora's box opened up in his life.
You okay?
I'm lost.
Have you heard of this new program, Google Earth? It's incredible. You can find any place from anywhere.
Yeah, but it would take a lifetime to search all the stations in India.
Dev Patel does an incredible job at the older Saru. I think he brings a real sense of vulnerability that Saru had at that stage in his life. And Dev brings all of that passion to that journey.
Working with Dev has been amazing. He's transformed so much through this film physically and I think also emotionally.
Saru!
I've really loved working with him.
You need to face reality.
What do you mean, reality? Do you have any idea what it's like knowing my real brother and mother spent every day of their lives looking for me? Huh? How every day my real brother screams my name. Can you imagine the pain they must be in not knowing where I am? Huh? 25 years, Luce. 25! I have to find home. The greatest influence in my life has been my own mother. You know, that's how I got into acting. So when I read this, I knew that, I was going to do this film for her. Because at its core, it's about love and it's about the power of identity. Sorry you couldn't have your own kids.
I could have had kids.
What?
We chose not to have kids. We wanted the two of you in our lives. That's what we chose.
I was just watching Nicole Kidman and there was no acting. I was just a complete mess. She was really acting from the gut because, a lot of this film mirrors her real life. She has adopted children, so for her there's a real personal connection to the material.
I would say ultimately the film is so much about the power of mothers, whether they're biological or adopted, and the need for a mother and the way in which we can all mother different people at different times.
Every night I imagine that I'm walking those streets home, and I know every single step of the way. And I whisper in her ear, I'm here. A lot of my friends who have watched this, the first thing they do is, want to call their parents or their brothers or their sisters or their friends and just, tell them they love them or give someone a warm hug. Because it really is about people and families and relationships at its core. And that's a beautiful, positive message to be putting out to the world at this time.
So what did you think of Lion, Robert?
I thought Lion was excellent. I think Dev Patel is one of those actors that's so criminally underrated. I mean, he was in Slumdog Millionaire, which is Danny Boyle's film from, I think it was 2009, 2010, round about there, which won Best Picture at the Oscars. And since then, he's really established himself as an actor to be reckoned with. He's turning into a really, really solid character actor, and I think it's about time that the Academy recognized him, which they've done for this performance. I don't think he stands much of a chance against Casey Affleck, but I'm glad that he's been recognized with a nomination.
Well, that's it from the studio this evening. From me, Nobile.
And from me, Robert, it's goodbye and we'll see you at the movies. And remember, the Sunday after next, we'll be giving you a full breakdown of the Oscars' big winners and losers on the night. We play out tonight with the official music video from XXX, The Return of Xander Cage. Juice by Chris Wu. Ciao for now.
Too much sauce on the roster. Like the roster's pasta, I whip with my dogs, yeah. I'm only here for it all, yeah. All y'all wanna all drop the ball in the process. Can't lose, I got juice, and they know I do. Can't lose, I got juice, and they know I do. Come through with your posse, get nasty, cause I got the sauce, yeah. Can't lose, I got juice, and they know I do. Hold up, I do this, I'm the person you notice. I pulled up in that newness, I get and go what you doing. The champagne campaign, worry about a damn thing. Got the diamonds dancing, got the girls dancing. I make them do it. She shake it, make it jiggle, make it pop. She driving low, I'm throwing money non-stop. Work, 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 that's a lot. You deserve something new off the lot. Can't lose, I got juice, and they know I do. Can't lose, I got juice, and they know I do.